Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our session this evening. This is actually an open session, so feel free to notify a few persons. This evening we are live on YouTube as well as on Zoom, as we have what we call this session it's quite different from our other Woman Arise sessions. We have our coaching and our mentorship sessions. And this one is where what we call Journey to Success, where we highlight the professional lives rather, of individuals who are CEOs, entrepreneurs, leaders, um, and talk a bit about their life, talk about their journey, and yeah, be encouraged by what is happening in their lives. And so we have a very special guest with us this evening, and it is such a privilege to, to have her here. Um, and her name is Debbie Jollie, and she is a marketing strategist. All right. And so this evening, we are going to share a bit about her, what, her journey to where she is where she is today. And so we are very, 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 very excited. At least I am very excited about this evening session. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Debbie. Debbie is an international lecturer, personal branding strategist, speaker, and marketing consultant with over 19 years of experience in higher education and more than 15 years in corporate marketing and communications. Originally from Trinidad and Tobago, she relocated to Da Nang, Vietnam, where she continues to teach, consult, and coach professionals and entrepreneurs across the Caribbean and internationally. Known as the stammering communicator, Debbie has transformed her personal experience with a speech impediment into a powerful platform that inspires others to embrace authenticity, build confidence, and lead with purpose. She has taught thousands of students, coached professionals across multiple industries, including myself, and helped individuals and organizations strengthen their personal brands, communication, and digital presence. Debbie holds a Master of Sciences in Management Consultancy and a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and Business Enterprise. Her work spans university lecturing, executive training, corporate consulting, and international speaking engagements. And she's passionate about empowering others to create opportunities beyond borders. She believes that your story, when embraced with courage and authenticity, can become your greatest competitive advantage. And so we are excited to welcome Debbie with us this evening. Uh, and so give her a virtual round of applause, love this evening as we, welcome Debbie, yeah, something. Let's encourage her, it is, this is what she did for us. It's like, what time is it by you, Debbie? It is like 7 a.m.
Yes, 9 minutes past 7.
9 minutes past 7 tomorrow.
Yes, in the future.
This is so awesome that she can tell us that, what tomorrow is like.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's good to have you on with us, Debbie, this
It's good to be
evening,
here.
and sharing with us concerning your journey in where you are now, and what you would have, the challenges that you would have overcome to get where you are this even today. And so, tell me, you have. Branded yourself as the stammering communicator. How did you turn what many would see as a limitation into your unique strength?
Oh. First a full question. But first, let me just say thank you, Sherry, so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. The stammering communicator, I think has evolved. Um, I stammered terribly as a child. Persons perhaps wouldn't believe me. Stammered terribly, couldn't string two words together. And I have, lots and lots of stories about being teased and, just being afraid to speak, right? Just being afraid to speak. So I grew up as a child. I liked music, the arts, and so on. But you know, you your voice is like your skin, right? It's like your gender. It's like yeah, as you walk into a space, persons will notice and recognize. So growing up, I had a lot of insecurities around it. But I couldn't be a person that loved music, arts, and those things and not be able to command my voice. So it's been a long journey around trying to initially, I would say, overcome it because I saw it as like an Achilles heel. I need to
Mhm.
be able to control this. I need to be able to overcome this. But I would say, in the last 5 years, I have said that, in life we are all dealt certain things and we
Right.
have challenges in life. And I said, you know what, Debbie, this is not necessarily something to overcome, but this is part of your story. This makes you different.
Hmm.
And I used to see it as a thing, like, I need to really work on this and overcome this. Now I think I've somewhat surrendered it. And I say, it is what it is. It is a part of me. It's a part of my story, and
Right.
let me share it. And because I know people have reached out to me and have seen my videos and say, I don't hear stutter and those things, and I laugh because I know the journey. But it's meant to show people that there are things that you have in life that you might feel is like the biggest thing in the world. But really, we all have challenges, and it's really how you approach it, your
Mhm.
mindset towards it, and how you are able to um to use it to flip it. It's almost like flipping it because that's what I did. I said, listen, the stammering communicator, the phrase itself is actually an oxymoron. How can you be a communicator and be a person that stutters? And so, I need to develop it a little bit more because persons have shown interest in it. And I think it actually can be more of a creative space for me. So that's what I want persons to really know. Open your mind about the challenges you have in life. You are not the only one. And I'm using that as part of my whole story as a personal branding individual.
And with you, and the thing is, most of what you do is communicating. And
Yes.
that is the beautiful thing about it. And as someone who you have mentored, in terms of business, when I have to run my ideas, I call Debbie. Hey, Debbie, I need to run these things by you. Yes. And interacting with you, you don't hear it that much, but even if you hear it slightly, it isn't something that seems to hold you back at all from what you are doing in your life. I mean, you are in Vietnam right now. You are doing consulting, you are coaching, you are lecturing, and all of these things. And I mean, it's such a powerful story that you have. And, I can imagine how you are encouraging persons all over with this story. You know, however, as I want to go into the fact that you would have, you mentioned the fact that you moved from Trinidad and Tobago. In your bio, we mentioned that you moved from Trinidad and Tobago and went to Vietnam. And that must have been a huge transition. How has that shift shaped your perspective on resilience and success? How has that impacted you and what you do?
Oh, it's an interesting journey. I will say again, because of, I guess, who I am, I've always been in a space where I feel like, the challenges are meant to help you to overcome. So, I came out of Vietnam. Initially, I said to spend to spend a year.
Mhm.
I have colleagues and friends out in Asia. I've had colleagues and friends out in Asia for maybe the last 20 years or so, persons who have been out here teaching, etc. And I've always heard great things, right? Excellent cost of living, good quality, good health care, and those things, right? And I've always been encouraged too. And I just felt as though that this point in my life was an opportunity to take it on. Um, and just try it, right? I mean, because a lot of the person said that, Debbie, how you going all the way there? Um, but I feel, God gives you this life here first, right? He gives you this life here first. And I think you need to live it fully, right? He
Absolutely.
wants you to live it fully. And so I felt that I had an opportunity. I don't have to physically be in one space. I can operate my business remotely, and I came across here. Of course, it's a big challenge. There's a language barrier. You go in the grocery and most things are not in English. And so I have to scan to make sure, or you
Wow.
look at the photo and those types of things. But
Right.
it was an adoption. It wasn't easy in the beginning, right? Because we've been here
Mhm.
about 9 months. I'm here with my son. It wasn't easy in the beginning. You have to work out things with money and all those things, and how you have money and all those things. And culturally just a different change. But you work through those things, you develop a routine, and I think, again, every time we don't hide away from a challenge and we embrace it, we tend to see a little bit more of what we are made of, and what we can achieve and what we can do. So it has been a really wonderful journey there in terms of my mindset and my openness, and how I look at things that are uncomfortable, because it was uncomfortable, but you work through that discomfort, and then you kind of learn more, and that's what I wanted.
I think you would have sent me something stating that you were now over in Vietnam, and I was like, say what? I was surprised. I was like, that says so much about your personality and in terms of a go-getter. Listen, I'm gonna do this, and the fact that you're over there and you're doing what you need to do and so forth. And I love to see your LinkedIn posts as you would be sharing about your different experiences over there,
Yes.
comparing KFC and all.
Hmm. And the
Yeah,
crazy
and
driving.
what's that?
The crazy drive and the
The
motorcycle.
crazy drive.
Yes.
Yes. And as you share this entire journey with the world, it really says, listen, take off the limitations off of your life. Take
Mhm.
off the things that hold you back, because a lot of times what holds you back is your mind, is how you
Yes.
perceive yourself, is how you perceive the situation. And so
Yes.
it's like literally take it off.
Yes.
The world is there waiting for you, waiting for what you have to offer. So
Yes.
don't limit yourself to one little place. And it's so encouraging that, hey, I'm just going to do this. And it really, really says a lot. Well, one of the
Yeah.
things that you would have mentioned, Debbie, is in terms of being a mom. So you're a lecturer, a mom, and a business owner. How do you balance these roles without losing yourself in the process? And even more, being in not in your comfort zone where there is steady ground
Mhm.
somewhere that is
Mhm.
different. How do you balance that? How do you get that balance?
I, it's tough. Balance is an interesting word. Um, I think life has phases or seasons. I like to say life has seasons, right? And I would use a expression I got from TD Jakes. I saw TD Jakes say this, and a few years ago, and I thought it was um so spot on. And he had said, you as individuals, we balance a lot of things in our life. You balance a lot of things for yourself, whether it is your health or your career, your job. You have a business you want to get off the ground. You have parents that you might be taking care of. You have um, family, friends. You have children. Um, and he said that we are all jugglers, right? So we have these
Mhm.
things, and which is family and faith and entrepreneurship and your business and all these things, and you're juggling it. And he said, even a juggler at some point in time might drop a ball, right? He said, but the thing is, you have to try and not drop the same ball all the time.
Wow.
So
Wow.
which essentially means you can't in life, you have to be able to not you can't neglect one thing, right?
Yeah.
So you can't it in life you can't give all your
Mm.
attention to one thing, and you can't neglect one thing constantly, because then you get yourself into a deficit with that. So whether that is the relationship with a loved one, you can't. And so I have, again, and I think this comes with age, have a little level of maturity where I have, and I try to tell my friends this who might say, Debbie, this is, life is hard, I'm going through this and that. I always say, listen, life is a season. And whether it's a good season or a bad one, it eventually does come to an end. And if you look at it like that,
Wow.
instead of just being in the valley and being like, oh gosh, this is the worst time and it's so terrible and I don't know why I'm here. If you look at it from the point of view that this is here for a time, it perhaps is meant to just show me something, then
Mhm.
you will have a better perspective of a valley. So I would say and that has really been my mindset for maybe the last 8 years or so. I've went through my dad passed away last year. My son was writing exams, and those two persons were my only focus for maybe the last prior to moving out here, the last 12 to 18 months. But
Wow.
I knew that was my priority. That was what I had
Mhm.
to put my energies into. Work would have to wait. My dad was critically ill, and
Mhm.
that's where my heart is, my love is. And so
Mm.
that's what I focused on. And then I said, okay, well, after that, I'll have more time. I'll be able to do what I have to do. I'll be able to pour into the other things, and that will come. And it's true. It came. And I'm out here
Right.
for 9 months now. So I feel as though not that you don't have problems, but people have to be able to create, to be able to see what life is offering at that point in time, to be able to be reflective, to be able to say, okay, this is just happening for now. How can I
Mhm.
balance it? So my son has gotten my time when he needs my time. And now
Mhm.
he will tell you that I tell him all the time. I need your support. You need to do more. I
Wow.
supported you. I need your support now. You need to support me. You need to help me with certain things, right? And
Yeah.
that might create a little friction between him and I, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're getting older now. Time for you to take on a few more things as you get into adulthood, and time for you to support your mom. So
Yes.
that so that's what I do. I don't think that you could do everything at once, but I do think that you can absolutely create balance by prioritizing what's important and in front of you at that point in your life. And that creates a little more freedom and understanding, you know?
As you were saying that, a couple of things stood out to me. I can identify with the support from son. As you also, I forgot he was here, and when I turned on, he's like, yeah, and even in terms of setting up for these things, I'm like, hey, I'm not even, there's certain things I've stopped trying to learn because I said I have so many things in my head. I'm, I don't want to be,
Right.
so I'm like, even though I can sit and learn it, no, he's an
Yes,
expert
true.
with these things, so do it, and
Yes.
and so I have started that to also teach that generation that, listen, it's so important to support. If it is that and that's going to get me to the next thing I want to, thought I want to share. Um, if it is that we as mothers, continuously say, okay, we have to do this, that, the other,
Mm-hmm.
and not teach our children and just sometimes say, listen, you also need to be a part of what's going on. You need to pull the weight. You are now getting to that place where I'm not going to cuddle you. You're not a baby. You're not
Mm-hmm.
in diapers anymore. But now
Yeah.
you need to be the one who helps out. You need to be the one,
Especially as young men. I find
young
that
man.
young men, I tell him you have to be able to switch off that male ego thing, and you have to be able to take care of somebody. So you have
That's
to
right.
take care of your mom, right?
That's
So I
right.
have to try to teach him that. That's where I'll get a little friction. But that's what being a man is about. It's not just about that male macho energy. You'll have a
That's
wife,
right.
you'll have kids, you'll have to soften up yourself a little
Hmm.
bit. You have to be able to
Yes.
support him. So
Yes.
that's what I'm trying to influence.
Yes. This motherhood thing is not easy. And trying to yeah, I'm happy to say that my son made sweetbread, some coconut sweetbread, which I can't partake in right now. But
What?
yeah, he made some coconut sweetbread and so forth. So I was like, yay. You know,
Yes,
these are things you're happy for. You celebrate the little wins. You know,
yes,
um, it also, as you were talking about that balance, it's something that we were talking about, was it last week, where as women, we need to find our identity outside of our roles, the role
yes,
of mother, the role of wife, the role of helping people here, the role, even sometimes, even as a professional woman, and we are CEO, manager, this, but who are you really? And I think part of the balance is being able to step back and as women, and I know all of us as women, all the women who are on and so forth, are women who work hard. But what
hmm,
about you? Who has God created you to be? Who has God purposed you to be? And what is your identity outside of all of these roles? And so one of the things I was challenging them last week, what is your identity outside of your roles and your titles? All right, because part of the balance is taking time for yourself.
yes, absolutely. And that's
We
true.
we
That's true. Yes, yes. My
and we have been, go ahead, go ahead.
So I was just going to say again, it's a season, and I think because
Mhm,
I'm telling a girlfriend that now that feels like she's stressed out and she has a younger child and those types of things, and
mhm.
I say to her, you have to be able to carve out something for yourself, or else you're going to feel. This is why we feel stressed out and burnt out and all these things.
Mhm.
This is why I tell my son, listen, I just like you want to take a rest, or just like you have a hobby, I am a whole and complete person too. And I am
That's right.
happier. I am conscious of this. I am happier when I pour into myself, when I'm well
Right.
rested, right? I
Yes.
can support you. So you have to be able to create that balance for you. I know it is difficult. It is difficult. I am in that season now. The 12 to 18 months, I was not in that season. So I'm in that now where I am able to pour into myself a little bit more. And that's what I would really encourage women to think about. Sometimes you ask women what do they like or love to do, and they can't answer because their life is so consumed with all these other things. But you have to
That's right.
take time and reflect and really
Hmm.
think about, well, what do I like? What are my passions? And be conscious of the things you say.
That's
I
right.
have a friend, and every time I speak to her, she says, I'm tired, I'm stressed out. I'm like, stop saying
Mm.
that, right? Stop
Mm.
saying that. That is indicative of things that's going on, right? And your words are powerful. So
That's
so
right.
it's not easy, but we do, And I came from a mother that poured totally into her children. Um, and at her age now, she literally says, no, like, this is my time. And she's 76. But I mean,
Wow.
she should have created more balance. But again, she would not have known. But that's what she did. She says it. I poured into my kids, and my kids were my most important thing, and so on. And no problem. But I do tell her, I'm a little different to you. I've noticed that if I'm constantly just pouring into people, I eventually get agitated, irritated, and
Hmm.
I'm not my best self. So
Exactly.
we have to take care of ourselves as women, and we do have to have that community as women too, because when you speak to other women, you realize again that you are not alone in going through some of the challenges that we have as women.
Yes. Yeah. And we have been trained as Caribbean women that must always be going, 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 going. It has we have been trained that um as though we wear busyness and tiredness as a
Mhm.
stripe.
Yes.
That makes us feel
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so
Yes.
tired. Oh, I was so
Yeah.
busy today. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And we wear it like like a stripe
Yes, a
until
badge of honor. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yes. And until if it is that I have to do and something with my children, I say I have an appointment. So that I
Right.
tell myself this is
Right.
as important as anything else that I have to do. So even if it
Right.
means that I'm going to the mall and eating ice cream with them, I have an appointment. And it's an important appointment. And I think
Yes.
all of that goes into the balance that we need to have that. Yeah, okay, somebody's gonna call you, especially with the roles that I have to do that,
Mm-hmm.
so if it is that we don't do that and say, okay, listen, my rest, that's I have an appointment, my time with God, I have an appointment. Yeah,
Yes.
my work, I have an appointment. Okay, hanging out with friends, that's another appointment. Everything that we're doing in our lives is very, very, very important. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important that we give it its due.
Yes. Yes. Agreed.
It's important. All right.
Agreed.
What we will do, I see that some persons may have questions. So what I will do at the end, I will give you the opportunity to ask a couple of questions, okay? So just make sure and take note of it. Make sure and take note of your questions. Don't forget it, write it down, all right? And Debbie, you up for a couple questions?
Sure, sure. I'll try my best. I'll try my best.
Yes. So let's move a bit because we have about 10 more minutes. What role has faith or mindset played in helping you to overcome obstacles and pursue success?
I would say more faith than mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mindset is a space I have to work on in my life that I've realized. Um, I te I've I tend to be a person of action, which is I will decide that something is important and then go into action. And I usually
Mm-hmm.
find that mindset and emotion around it comes after. So even things that are difficult, I will not stay very long in a space. I will say, okay, this is what I need to do, and then I'll begin to action. So I tend to create a pattern of action, and then
Mm-hmm.
the mindset develops after because you realize, okay, you're moving. You have to move. It's like exercise. Okay, I've said, okay, I'm going to do it. So no, I have to get up every day and do it. So I'm doing it. The mindset is like, I don't want to go, but
Right.
I've already made the decision and I've said I'm going, right? So, and then after getting a pattern, you kind of develop there. But
Wow.
I've found that I've come out here and I have to work on my faith and my relationship with God. But I have found that over the years, and again, this is why a lot of things, it's just like the TD Jakes expression. And we use a lot of biblical terms, like how I mentioned, you're in a particular season. My
Mm-hmm.
faith has allowed me to see certain things in my life in a with new eyes.
Okay.
And I do business now, literally making
Mm-hmm.
decisions by saying, literally, before I take on a project, I will say, God, is this what I'm supposed to be doing now?
Amen.
Do I need to do this now? Is this something I should sign off on? And
Amen.
sometimes the answer is no,
Yeah.
right? No. And to give it up. And before I guess I was in my own physical being and would have said, okay, yeah, I need to take it. I need the money. I need to do this because I feel it's important. That's not the case anymore. I've reached a place where I know he provides, In fact, I'll share a quick story there. I know you
Sure.
said 10 minutes. Many years ago, I worked for an organization and they retrenched a whole lot of persons and it wasn't great. It was very nasty. We went into court and a whole bunch of things.
Wow.
And that taught me at that point in time that you could have a job one day and don't have it the next day, and then you still have bills to pay and so on. And God brought me through that season where I would have said, I need a job. And initially, I didn't have one, but I used to teach part-time and so on. And I didn't get a job, I think, until maybe a full-time job until a year and a half. And I did a lot of things in that year and a half, and he provided. And
Wow.
since then, and that's maybe 12 plus years, I always take that or try to take that. It doesn't always happen. That is the act of surrendering. So I
Mm-hmm.
always say, God, you know the direction and you know the path and you know where I need to be. And so the decisions I make, I try to involve him first, right? Even if
Right.
it's a simple, you know. I say, well, you're just speaking to him, right? I don't always, it's
Mhm.
not always, let's say a prayer, but I would be like, okay, God, is this really what I need to do or I need to take? Because I believe that I am where I am because he has said it is okay. And I will get to
Right.
where I need to be because he says it's okay. So I need to always focus him and make him the center, and
Mhm.
things will be okay. So I've noticed that when I try to do too many things in the flesh, sometimes it feels like it could be very difficult. But when you focus on your faith and you sort of surrender, and I'm not saying that's a perfect thing, eh? It's something that I struggle with still, but I
Don't
have
we
enough
all?
I
Don't we all?
I have enough evidence in my life that he
Mhm.
will take me through whatever it is. So I need to come back to that and say, okay, I don't know where this is going or how it will turn out, but I know you will be there. And so
Yeah.
you have to tell me where I'm going. So I make decisions now, or I try to make decisions now by kind of asking him. And people might be surprised. So whether it's a new project or the move out here or anything, I say, just let me know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing now.
Hmm. That there is a struggle that, it may be at different levels, but this whole, I think God brings you to different challenges to
Hmm,
teach you to trust Him more.
hmm, hmm.
And when He brings you to these different challenges, sometimes you could say, "Oh yeah, I trust God, man," and then after He carries you up like almost as though He's carrying you up the mountain, and the level of trust to go to that level could make you feel like you're buckling under the
Yes,
pressure.
yes, of course, of course.
But you learn to trust him more. And then you'd say, okay, yeah. And then he carries you to another level. But what I've learned is that part of the process of climbing the mountain is full dependence on him. And so as you
That's
climb,
it.
the higher you go, the
Hmm.
more you need to be dependent on God. Because you see that
Hmm.
fall down, it's going to be a hard bump. And so the
Mhm.
higher you go, the more we have to trust God in whether it's our daily life, our business, our career, our relationships, personal and professional relationships. It's important that we trust God. And so even see, as you were talking about that, that's something that I I I um I remember recently this opportunity came for me. And I said, God, I need to know if this is your will. So here are the requirements. They must be okay with the fact
Hmm.
that I'm called to ministry. They must be okay with XYZ and all the things. And when I had the meeting with the person, everything,
Mhm.
everything. And I said, okay, God, I'm still praying about it because of the nature of the opportunity. And I said, you really have, you don't want to do this without God. You really,
Mm.
really don't want to do any part of your life without God. As the Bible says, in all our ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct our path. And so that trust is so critical, but it's not
Yes.
easy.
It's not easy because I think sometimes we holding on to him and then we holding on to what we know. So it is a constant, yeah, it's a constant. I always say that, I say that in my prayer. I say, listen, God, I need to just be able to surrender. And the surrendering is not always
Mhm.
easy, but I trust you, right?
Yes.
Um, it's such a it is a process. It's a process where we in our walk with our faith.
And one of the things that I have likened it to is when you go to the gym and you start off with weights and gets so you have to do some heavier weights. And so the
Yes.
resistance is there. And the more you have the resistance, the more the stronger you get.
Yes.
And so the trust, the more resistance and the more you learn to trust, the stronger your faith gets in the process of trusting and understanding more about who God is. Yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, that is really, really awesome. I have two more questions, so let me try to get into that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at success, and I know you would say you would feel as though, well, you ain't reach yet, but okay, you're on that journey, and that's why we call it journey to success,
Yes.
because we reach when we get to heaven. But what does success mean to you now compared to when you first started your journey?
It's changed completely, and I hope that happens with most persons, right? I think when I started out and I started out in business, of course, you focus on, you hear all these persons, and you see all these people
Mhm,
on social media and all the young persons, and you look for certain outward things, right? Oh, I want to make this $1 million, and I want to get this promotion, and I want to do and that's fine. I think as young people, those things drive you, and it is fine. I have, and when I listen to my son, I hear the same dynamic, and I have to check myself at times that I don't just that I allow him to go through certain things as a young
mhm,
person. Um, but success to me, as I always say, and I kind of put in my content, is really with this term freedom.
mhm,
And that means freedom of time, freedom of movement, just the freedom to be able to, the freedom of opportunity. Those things are what sort of enrich my life. So
right,
success to me is not being is being in a space now where I don't have to clock a 9 to 5, where I don't have
right.
to ask permission or
Mhm,
time off. It was the ability to take care of my dad for months because he was
wow.
bedridden,
Mhm,
right?
yeah,
Um, and to tell my mom, you go and sleep in the night and I will stay with him, right? So if he have anything, I will stay with him. That's not a problem. That's success to me, right? Because the amount of
right.
times I told that man, I love you, no daddy, I love you, no daddy, and he's not a demonstrative man, so he would just smile at times, right?
Oh.
I was able
Mhm,
to pour back into him, and that to me is success now. So success is really the the freedom. I like that term, right? That I could
mhm,
live on my own terms for the most part, and I can do the things that I want to do. That I could go to the gym right after this, Cherise, that after this is change clothes, and I'll go to the gym, and then I'll do I'll come back and I'll do work, so that I orchestrate my own day and what it
mhm,
looks like. And then I could lie down and I could watch a little movie, and then I get up and you do your work, and that is, I don't know for other people, but that ability to just kind of have that is the best feeling in the world. So
yeah.
again, I would have had in my mental space long ago, climb the corporate ladder, do these things, and feel as though that was what my life should be. God had a big plan, and He said that you're not going to go back into that corporate space anymore, right? And this
Mhm,
is a much more. It has its challenges because it's not like a salary is being dropped into the bank account every month. I have to get up and go and look for this work, right?
yeah.
But there is a freedom of time and movement and opportunity and the ability to grow and the
Mhm,
ability to create community with people and to pour into people. And the last 5, 6 years has superseded, what I would have said was important to me when I was 25. So, and again, this is for people to be open. I think when
Yeah.
you're closed off, you're closed-minded, you don't take, you're not open to God's direction, your life
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't become more abundant. And so you have to be open to changing and doing things that are uncomfortable
Right.
to get to the next side. So, I could easily attest that maybe my brothers and sisters have said, Debbie, gosh, you doing that. You just do some kind of things, boy, right? They will toe the line and they will find that I am too much, I coloring outside of the line. But but that has allowed me to have some flexibility that
Mm-hmm.
I value now in my life.
I love it. I love it. One of the things we were defining this morning was wealth. And I said, oh, wealth is an abundance of the things that you desire. And so if you desire peace and you have
Mm,
that abundance of peace, you feel wealthy. You feel like you have
mhm.
all that you need. If it
Yes,
is whatever it is that you desire abundance of. And so wealth isn't necessarily money, 10 houses, or that isn't necessarily wealth. That
yes,
is a lot of stuff, but it isn't
yes,
necessarily wealth. But the
yes,
wealth is what you pursue. So if it is for some persons, they have family around them, and that feels like wealth because they're surrounded by love, they're surrounded by goodness. For some persons, wealth is just, as you said, flexibility in
hmm,
your schedule and being able to do
yes,
the things that you love, and that makes you feel so good and you feel like,
yes,
oh yes, so it's important that we understand, how we define success, because success is different for everyone.
everybody.
um yeah. So for those who are joining in, who are now joining in, or who will be listening to the recording, we have been talking with Debbie Jollie, who's a marketing strategist. She's a business development strategist. She's a mom. She's a lecturer. She's a consultant. She does so many things, and she's my coach as well. And we have been chatting about her journey to success, and we've been looking, and what we've been seeing is that um, how important, and what I've been hearing, and I don't think that she realizes that she's been saying it. You don't think you've been realized, you have really understood what you've been saying. Where you spoke about, listen, if I have something to do, I put my plan together and I just get it done. And I
Mm,
think that that says so much about your character, a very strong character, to be able to do that. Because some people stop at good intentions. But when it is that you're saying, listen, I have to get this done, so I'm going to put in the work to get it done. It says
yes.
so much about how your strength and that inner strength, and that's what we're hearing about you. That's at least for me tonight, today, with what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Hearing in what you are seeing in this entire conversation. There's a deep strength within you, that that is coming out in your job and how you handle everything that you're doing in your business, sorry, and how you're doing everything that you're doing. There's a determination, there is a deep strength within you, there's a deep faith that is coming out in how you are living. And it's really encouraging to have this conversation with you this evening. And I know that some I saw a hand go up, so I want to make sure that they get in their question. But I want to ask you one more question. Well, what I'm going to do is put it. If you had to give some word of encouragement to women out there, women professionals, women who are pushing forward towards their goals, because that's what Woman Arise is about, professionals,
Hmm.
persons who are pushing towards their personal and professional goals, and overcoming the challenges that they face. What would you encourage these women and tell them um, today, tonight?
Oh, I want to say that we have the answers, eh? We have the answers for a lot. Okay, so my experience with people in general, particularly women too, is that we tend to want affirmation from others before we make a change or before we do something.
Mhm.
And many times, or sometimes, we ask the wrong people, and that holds us back, right? And I think that that maybe, to your point, Cherise, has never been an issue for me because
Right.
I've been I guess God has grounded something in me enough that I know, okay, if I make a decision to do something, I'll see it through no matter what, good, bad, or
Right.
indifferent. But what I've found is that people, we have insecurities. We are not sure. I am willing
Mhm.
to fall, but I take some calculated risks. I make a like a pros and a before I came to Vietnam, I make a pros and a cons list. What is the benefits of me coming out here? What are the cons?
Mhm.
If the cons was more than the pros as an intellectual person, I'd say, okay, now I'm not coming out here. But I made a list and I made a plan and I said, okay, how will I earn my money? How would I do this? And then I said, okay, let's go. And I think people, and I didn't ask too many other people for validation. And I think
Mhm.
that's what we do as women. We asking this person and asking for that advice and asking and asking. And we tend to ask people who have not walked the path before.
Right.
If I have a challenge with my son, I'll call you, Sharice. I'll call my friend, and I'll call women who I see have been raising kids, have been raising kids well, who
Mhm.
have independent thinking children, who I will ask people who have walked my path before.
Right.
I'm not asking anybody who it's like a thing I used to make with my dad. I used to say, "You are expert in everything." He giving you advice on politics, boxing, sports, everything. He's an expert. I really don't take advice from people who haven't walked my path, and I would tell
Mm.
women to do the same thing. And I always say, if you sit with yourself long enough and you reflect, you have the answer. We
Yeah.
don't do it and we don't develop that muscle. So therefore, you're getting all these thoughts about, yeah, nah, shouldn't do it, nah, can't do it. This ain't making no sense.
Mhm.
And you get in your head, and that's why you stay stuck. So I
Right.
think women have to um trust themselves a little bit more. Caribbean women have to trust themselves a little bit more. And when you seek advice, seek out advice from persons who have walked that path before. It's the same thing I tell my son when sometimes he says his friends say this and his friends say that. I said, get your advice from your coach who has
Mhm.
who has walked this path and he has carried
Yes.
persons through and he has gotten persons with scholarships. Ask
Yeah.
this person who is a national player who has done
That's
these
right.
things. Seek out the advice from people who have
Mm.
walked that path before. They'll tell you the things that they fell with, they tell you the things that work, and then you make your decision.
That's right. That's right. Um, Well, thank you so much, Debbie, for taking this early morning session,
No problem.
and just pouring into us. I'm gonna stop the live stream now and just give persons the opportunity to ask a couple of questions. And yes, yeah. So let me stop the live stream now for those who are listening, tuning in on YouTube. Thank you very much.